Hey everyone. So, welcome to our first official launch of the Cenablecare podcast series. Here, across every episode, every month, we'll be getting in a past graduate, maybe a current student, or maybe even a current tutor to give a bit about their experience in Cenablecare and maybe some advice that they can give to you guys in the next generation. So, for our first guest in the month of May, welcome, Parsh.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So my name is Parsh, as Akash just said, and I was a recent graduate of Bowen High in 2025, and I'm currently studying Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Finance at Monash University.
Before joining Cenablecare, can you tell us how would you describe yourself as a student?
Um, I think that's quite interesting. I think before before joining, I think it was in I joined in year 10. So before year 10, I was quite lackluster. Didn't really have much discipline. Quite I don't know. I should. How do I describe myself? I was quite unmotivated,
Mm,
quite immature,
yeah.
and had a little bit of an ego towards subjects I thought I was decently good at.
Yeah.
For example, maths.
Mm-mm. And a cash is just a solution to all, right?
Maybe I'm not sure.
But anyways, on a more serious note, like what subjects did you end up doing tutoring in Cenablecare? Because honestly, I don't even remember.
um, so I did methods,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
chem, and Englang. Those are
Mm,
my three main ones.
mm.
And then in year 12, I also did accounting
Okay,
from
cool.
another tutor.
All right. And out of those four subjects, what would you say was like the most memorable out of the four?
100% Englang,
England,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
100%.
No, we'll get into some stories later on for
Yeah.
everyone. But do you remember when you first joined in? What were those like initial lessons like? Because you've never met me, you've probably not met a few of the students, and then over time you pick up that okay, there's some Bornheim mates that joining in over the years. What were those first few moments like? Those first few lessons?
I mean, first few moments was like a bit weird,
Mm.
right?
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I won't be. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember you having a quick call with me before my first lesson, trying to get an idea who I was, what I'm studying, what I'm good at, what my grades are looking like, just some stuff about myself.
Mm.
And then I walked up to your class, walked up to Meeting Street where the first class was, and it was a year 10 maths class where I walked in and I saw. I think it was in the far classroom,
Mm. Mm.
like in the far classroom, not the living room one.
Yeah, so to everyone out there, one of the tutoring centers are in Meeting Street, and we've basically converted a unit into that tutoring center. So you might not know the locations Pasha is saying by far and near, but it's one of those
Yeah,
classrooms.
so in one of those classrooms, that one, and I remember 4 or 5 other kids being there as well. I don't remember how many exactly,
Mm.
but I remember that, and Kosh went through it. Yeah, that was my and I don't know, from that first class, I just instantly fell in love with it, if I'm honest with you. Just fell in love in that class.
Damn, bro, love at first sight.
I didn't mean it like that, but, like, yeah, nah, I really, really enjoyed it, especially, like, doing, like, 20 different,
To be
like
fair, yeah, I mean, it made you feel a bit like home, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
like it's not the similar setup to an official
Of
tutoring
course.
center. It informalized the environment a bit more, but then once you're in that hour or in that 1.5 hours, I guess the expectations were quite high,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, fair enough. All right, so let's look at your overall experience in Cenablecare now, right? What would you say is one of the biggest differences in the classrooms that I dealt with you in versus the ones at school?
Um, yeah, so I think the biggest difference has to definitely be the environment. I think with Tenable Care, you have a maximum, like, there's a maximum limit of 8 students per
Mm.
class.
Which we emphasize
Yeah,
greatly.
yeah, and also, but whereas at school, there's like 25, 30 students depending on the
Yeah,
class
more than
or
half of them
subjects.
are drop kicks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
What do yeah, they don't really care about school and stuff. But the people who do, it's quite like different as well. Whereas, so the main advantage of that is that with Sensible Care, you have more individual support. If you like strengths on your weaknesses, working on those. Whereas at school, the individual feedback
You just come and go.
based,
You
yeah,
just attend. That's all
yeah,
it is, right?
yeah,
Fair
100%.
enough. I mean, see, look, I've dealt with you now for 3 years,
Yeah.
right? And now I still deal with you professionally. You've dealt with teachers for 13 years, many, many more teachers, right? What is the one thing about You always say my teaching style, teaching style, teaching style. What is the one thing about my teaching style that is very unique about me that you seem to gel with the most?
So it's really unconventional and really
Appreciate it,
unique.
but yes, go on.
Yeah. I think most teachers, tutors, mentors, or whoever is trying to teach you, as long as every time you make a mistake, they'll be like, at least you tried and try to give you like positive. Whereas with you, you're kind of like flaming the person instead, which is like,
Which let's be real here. Some kids can take it and some can't.
yeah,
Would you agree with that?
100%,
You've
yeah,
seen some kids come and go,
yeah,
and
100%,
it's just that they couldn't take it.
yeah,
But unfortunately, that's just who I am, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, why did you like that?
It actually makes you improve as a person.
Mm,
It's like if you keep gonna get positivity around you, you're gonna be like top shit, have a big ego and stuff. And I think it kind of humbles you in a way, which
mm,
which is required for you guys to improve in
mm,
life,
mm.
not just academically, but just as a life and personality wise as well.
Fair
You
enough.
need that.
All right. I guess the elaboration to unconventional has
Yeah.
some positive connotations at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Now, see, in Cenablecare, one of the big things that I like to emphasize on is our resources.
Yeah.
Now, you've also seen this year we've launched masterclasses, the digital platform, and which obviously you didn't get to experience fully. But there were things about the resources, the trial exam, stuff like that, that you really, you took part of.
Mhm.
What's one thing about the resources that you really like? Because this is the one thing that every tutoring place seems to be competing against, right?
Yeah. I think Cenablecare's variety
Mm,
and the quality and quantity both combined is top class.
mm, mm,
Better than all other tutoring places I've tried. By the way,
mm,
I've tried like 10 different tutors before coming to Akash. So like,
mm.
yeah, yeah, and I've like gone after like 2 months, three
See,
months, 6 months
this
max.
is a man of trial and error, and he found the outcome. Go on.
Yeah. So for it's like quality over quantity, I think one of the big things is that let's say you're struggling with a topic, the tutor is Akash. You were my tutor for most of my thing.
Mm,
You knew exactly where everything was and
mm,
what I like. If I gave you a topic, let's say logarithms, you could give me 20 different logarithm worksheets or practice acts on it
mm,
or
mm,
topic tests about it.
mm,
So I think that and like knowing and then you knew which schools, which companies, which one would be harder and
mm,
easier.
mm,
So I think those are like a big advantage. Whereas like other tutoring places, they could just bombard you with resources, but you didn't know how to use them, had no
mm,
structure to them.
mm, yeah. Would you say one of the things with that is knowing how close I was with you and understood your weakness and strengths better, I could then target resources better for you?
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
think because of like I said, there's only 8 students.
Yeah.
Each student the tutor knows each student a lot better than their strengths and
Yeah.
weaknesses. Hence, they're able to um personalize
Yeah.
how like this how to improve their strengths and
Yeah.
weaknesses.
Fair enough. All right. So now that we've discussed your life in Cenablecare across those 3 years, I guess now one of my most, I'd say I'm most curious about is what the hell is happening with you outside year 12. So I know you're in Monash, you're in the com finance sort of look at thinking,
Yeah.
what is different from uni and year 12? Like, what's the biggest difference you'd say?
I think the teaching style is completely different.
I mean, is there even a teaching style though?
I mean, it's just lectures and or recorded videos
Yeah.
and then self study basically.
Mm. So, what do you think is something within Sanable Care, or maybe something that I've given you that you're now using to maybe make your uni life a tad easier?
I think the thing of hard working and discipline is like
Mm,
the biggest thing.
mm,
It's not like you can't like grind in uni to an extent. I feel like you can't really grind.
mm,
Like for example, I think there's like 20 practice stacks or exams that we get in VCE. You get if you're lucky to get two.
mm.
You most probably get one.
I know you feel very uncomfortable
Yeah,
at that.
yeah, yeah,
This guy used to be the resource hoarder of high school.
yeah,
And now he can't achieve that
yeah, yeah,
extent in uni, right?
yeah. I'm not pissed off and annoyed about it. I can't lie. Not enough,
Fair
but
enough. But another question I also had was, see, you had very, let's call it controversial study habits,
yeah,
of late nights. Somehow even I was awake in those nights at 2
Yeah.
or 3 a.m. Maybe I was out in the city doing who knows what, but I was still there
Yeah.
talking to you, dealing with you. And I've made it very clear that sometimes your study habits may not have been the most optimized,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So tell me this, what was one thing you did in high school that now you don't do anymore?
Um,
That could have been thanks to me. Could.
yeah. I think one of them is doom scrolling. Sometimes I would like technically say that I would study for an hour, but
Mm.
half of that's probably just Instagram reels
Mm,
or
mm,
just procrastination.
And would you say this is a thing not just for you, but for a lot of year
Yeah, I
12s
think
out
a
there?
lot of your adults
Yeah,
struggle with it. Yeah, but like if you feel productive and you're actually not really.
yeah. And you year 12s out there that I tutor, or even year 11s, or even under, I've said this time and time again. Now it's going to hit different when someone who just graduated is telling you this message.
Yeah, I think that it's quite important, especially in uni where you have to like survive doing other things as well. It's not just academics.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
you gotta work on like other things like fitness as well and
Yeah,
other
yeah,
things.
true, true. So, I mean, aside from doom scrolling, you know that there are a lot of year 11s and year 12s in Cenablecare currently, and that's just going to grow in number.
Yeah.
And you probably know a few of them as well.
Yep.
What is one piece of advice, or maybe a couple, that you can give to these year 11s and 12s that they could really value?
I think if I was in their position, I would build on my basics. I think having a strong foundation and building blocks is really important.
Foundation in study habits or foundation in learning in terms of theory?
I would say study habits is quite important, but
Mm,
also like academically,
mm,
if you don't know, if you need to like know what your addition is, if you want to do calculus or something,
mm,
it's
mm.
like you need to like build like everything builds on, especially for like math, like STEM kind of subjects.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're getting 30% in year 10, why the hell would you think about methods,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or if you're getting 60% in year 10, why the hell would you think about special?
yeah,
Well, those are kind of the
yeah,
sort of
hundred
modes of
percent.
thinking. Yeah, yeah, fair enough. And I'd say this is like a conversation that I have with a lot of year 9s and year 10s out there regarding this. Maybe I had this chat with you towards the end of year 10 where it's like, are you sure you want to do special? Are you sure you want to do this? But
Yeah,
I'd say with your subjects, it was more with your interests. I
yeah,
think so, right? A little bit of scaling based decisions you made.
yeah.
But do you think that's something year 7 to 10 should also consider when it comes to picking their VC subjects? Is scaling really the biggest factor, or is it a factor?
I would say it's a strong factor.
Okay.
It's not the biggest factor for
Mm,
sure. I
mm,
would say it's a very strong factor.
mm,
I also know really I know students who did like random subjects like health, psychology,
Hey,
general
hey, be
maths.
careful out there. Some people might be offended by that. Hey,
Random
random.
subjects, I should say, not interesting to myself.
All right. Thanks for
Sorry,
that
let me say it
elaboration.
that way. Not interesting for myself or
Not
subjects
not
that
just himself, but also myself, by
yeah,
the way.
and subjects like don't scale or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as much
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as compared to like specialist math or math methods or chemistry or
Mm,
something.
mm.
They scale a lot. But yeah. And I also know those people getting like 95, 97 ATARs easily.
Mm. So
Just
there's a way.
yeah.
When there's a will, there's a way,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Fair enough. Now, obviously, you are in uni, you finished high school, finished tutoring. 3 years ago, you basically started with me, right? As we've said. What is one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self just before you're about to enter VC with Cenablecare and also within high school, too? One piece of advice, or maybe one change in your lifestyle that you wish you acted on sooner instead of later.
Improving your handwriting.
Ah,
100%.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
You've blamed me this for this so many times as well during VC.
Mm, mm,
My parents have blamed me.
mm.
Still not the best handwriting out there. Gotta admit that.
But would you say you're more conscious about it?
Yeah, hundred
Yeah, fair
percent.
enough. And to be honest with all of you, it's not just with Parsh. The reason why I flamed him on this is because this is something that affected me as well. I remember at the end of year 12 for my trial exam for English language, I was equal rank 1 in Melbourne High, and then I got a 2 out of 120 on that trial exam. And that's because the external marker just said Siebes reading and gave me 1 mark on the AC, 1 mark on the essay, and 0 everywhere else. I will always remember this story, and I use this story as a big sort of learning moment for kids like Pash and for other kids out there. So you are listening to this and you know your handwriting is bad, act on it sooner than later. Trust me on that.
Yeah, so that's what, as Akash mentioned again, handwriting's really important. I wasn't probably in the same way, probably during year 11, year 12, probably lost countless marks due to handwriting or teachers not being able to read my work.
Mm-mm.
And I had teachers come up to me and tell me, "What does this mean? What does that say?" and
Mm-mm.
stuff.
Teachers, tutors,
Yeah,
mates,
yes,
everyone.
everyone basically.
Fair enough. All right, so now that we've covered the serious stuff, the enlightening stuff, I've actually collected a few questions that some of your peers, maybe some of my past students, or maybe even myself, I'm just curious on what you have to say about this.
Okay.
So,
Um.
question one, what is one of your most fondest slash memorable sort of stories or memories with me?
Um. I think one of my biggest or fondest moments with you is when in year 11, after my year 11 exam, and I got my result back.
Yeah, which one, bro?
My Englang one.
Okay, yeah,
My
yeah,
Englang
Ingmar,
one. I
Ingmar,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a really bad grade. I can't remember what it was now, but it was a
I
really.
remember, but
I can't remember. I can't remember.
but I've signed an NDA that I can't actually reveal it.
Yeah, but
So.
nah. Even if I remembered, I probably couldn't. I probably would say it, but like
Yeah,
whatever it was,
yeah.
I can't. Whatever it was, probably like something. Anyways, yeah. So Karsh. I told her Karsh. I think I texted him like 9 p.m. after like crying the whole day, and then and then I remember being all sad about it and everything, and then he literally just drove to my house. Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny story actually. Yeah, he just drove to my house because he couldn't figure out why as well. It was
And I
that poorly.
genuinely just Siebes waiting till Monday. So I was like, you know what? I got like 10 minutes to spare. Let me see what's happening here.
Yeah. So he just literally drove to my house, and yeah, we had a good 10-minute one-on-one chat about it. And then I was so down. He took me to an ice cream place. Yeah. Took me to an ice cream place down in Hawthorne or something on Glen Ferry, and then I remember him on the way back driving 170
Yeah, yeah, wait, wait.
and racing someone.
We gotta keep this legal, right? We gotta be
Oh yeah,
careful.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So we were driving fast. That's all we can say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
driving
driving
fast
fast. Yeah,
and
yeah,
racing someone at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah. But at the end of it, would you say your dopamine spiked?
Yeah,
Would you
100%.
say your adrenaline spiked?
Yeah,
You were probably feeling still a bit down, but
yeah,
would you say you felt better by the end of this?
yeah, 100%.
All right, that's the most important thing. All right, cool. The next question. This was actually asked by someone that will turn up on one of these podcasts in the future. Would you call yourself a bit of a fanboy of me?
Um, yeah, to an extent, I would. Yeah, I actually would. Yeah.
All right. We need a bit more elaboration here. What were some things you did in school that made a lot of people think, why is this guy like such a fan of this Akash, this mystery Akash?
I think I talked about you quite a bit at school, if
Mm,
I'm honest with you. Like to
mm,
my especially to my friend group and everything.
mm,
People
mm,
I was close with.
mm,
I tried to convert them into Cenablecare and tried to
mm,
get them to join you. I think that was probably the perception I gave because of
mm.
that.
And which, honestly, guys, is something I really respect because I've dealt with many students in the past where they could be one of two modes. They could either gatekeep me because they don't want their friends to, like, I don't know, get the same benefits, I guess. And then you have someone like Parsh who actually cared about his mates and wanted them to experience what he experienced with me. Which, honestly, now that I think about it, there's a few characters that I formed pretty close relationships in which they probably have their own fondest memories of
Yeah.
similar versions like yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, Now next question. This one actually has nothing to do with me, thankfully, finally. Um, w- you've done 3 classes. You've dealt with so many kids that have come and gone. There've been a few constants that actually stayed all the way till the end of year 12. Who out of this sort of peer group has been one of the most memorable? And could you maybe give us a story that made it so memorable?
I would say I was thinking there's lots, but I would say Aryan is probably the biggest one.
Oh, Aryan goes sane.
Yeah,
Okay,
him.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He actually currently tutors here as well.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah, he
Yeah,
does. You are right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
He currently actually tutors here as well, and yeah, his his personality was unconventional. Let's just say it that
Well,
way.
it's unconventional tutors, unconventional students. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
bit of
His
a
personality was a
compatibility,
bit
right?
like I think I'll give you an example is at Monash University, I had this mutual of a mutual,
Yeah,
and his I'm not gonna say the name, but
yeah,
he was apparently in Aaron's class, and apparently in Aaron's class, and he somehow found out that me and Aaron knew each other.
Mm.
Aaron and I knew each other, and he was like, "Is this guy an Eshe?" That was his exact words to me. Like, is he
Damn.
actually smart?
Damn.
That was his exact words to
So
me.
like are in the Eshe, are in the tutor, are in the Cenablecare, one of the main sort of staff. We don't know, right? We
I don't
don't know.
know.
But
And
yeah, go on.
yeah, and I was like, why is he saying that?
Mm.
And I figured out that, oh yeah, because of his Insta. He probably looked at his Instagram.
Mm.
It's a bit,
It's a bit flashy.
yeah, it's a bit flashy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few posts and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
think he's dressing, but like if you got to know him, he's definitely not like that. So,
True,
like for
true. Yeah,
him,
like I think for me to gel close with someone as well, I probably wouldn't be the best person to gel with an Eshe.
yeah,
But I think that's where the style comes in, where behind every facade, there's a character that if you try hard enough, you can find more about it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. But what is one memorable story with Aryan in Cenablecare? Forget Monash in Cenablecare.
Cenablecare. I think his character being really funny. Like he'll just random moments during tutoring sessions, you just find a way to like
Stir you up.
stir you up, stir everyone up, and everyone just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of
Laughing,
classes,
screaming.
screaming.
I've had moments of some people even crying because
Yeah,
of this Aryan go saying.
yeah.
But all fun and games at the end of it,
Yeah,
right? Like, yeah, because everyone formed that good relationship with each other.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And last question to sort of end off with. In a scale of never to always, how often did I flame you?
I reckon as time went on, it definitely decreased.
Oh,
Definitely decreased to an extent,
I was getting scared by this answer, but anyways,
but
go
to
on.
an extent, but like it was still pretty decently often.
Yeah.
Like if
But
it was because I think one of my big examples was because I always struggled with making like careless mistakes, and whenever I made careless mistakes or something, I remember you always flaming me on them. It's like stuff I knew easily,
mm,
and like I would just make a stupid mistake,
yeah,
like getting it, I just get flamed for it.
yeah. But I'd say, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The flaming comes out of genuine care
Yeah,
as
hundred
well,
percent.
right? Because there are, I would say, tutors out there, or even peers, like just friends out there, just talk shit basically. It just like makes you feel down with
Yeah,
no true intent about it, right?
yeah,
What do you think was my intent with flaming you? Like, number one, I will tell you this: I did feel comfort in failing you, and I know not failing you, flaming you.
yeah,
And I know it sounds weird in me saying that, but it's like I felt like, okay, this is a guy that really deserves my all because he can take it. He's got that thick skin, so he can actually take it, and
yeah,
hence I gave it. But then, when you did have those moments of getting things correct, I made you feel like
yeah,
top of the
yeah,
world, right?
definitely.
So those moments did feel great,
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Cool.